Hey everyone, this is Talkative Carl back again for another TV show spoiler review. First one of the new year. Happy New Year. I finally get a chance to sit down and talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Season 2. Uh, been trying to get through all the episodes while at the same time dealing with other stuff. So finally got it done. Now I just want to I just couldn't wait to get into it. Really wanted, I while I was getting through like the Spider-Man movies and Christmas films and stuff like that, trying to get all that stuff done on time, and then once they finally got those wrapped, I hopped right into Yu-Gi-Oh GX. Also, I was in the mood to watch some more Yu-Gi-Oh. So now I've gone through all this stuff, and in the past I usually go straight to like the episodes that I really enjoy more so, or at least episodes that I haven't seen in a while that I want to get back into and kind of like refresh my memory of that kind of episode. This time I actually had to go through every episode from start to finish from season 2, and it just dawned on me on like how it's like 52 episodes in season 2. My God. And probably the one of the cons I had about this uh the second season is that it is fillery, but not excessive amount. Not like the way Bleach is and One Piece are, you know, horrendous with, but it's got a fair amount of fillers that they could have easily taken out. Like this episode where they go with this living doll, this kind of like Victorian living doll that came to life somehow and has to duel Jaden's. Like, you could easily have left it out. That has no bearings on the story whatsoever. Fillers, in my opinion, I usually hate fillers. It's like a few that I actually care for. One being in Naruto, episode like 100, somewhere between 100 and 105. Or at least somewhere between 100 and 107. Like, there was like an episode where the kids are trying to figure out what Kakashi looked like underneath his mask. I thought that was fun. It gave me some joy and laughter out of it. And sometimes there's, episodes that kind of feed into the main plot in some fashion, but it's a filler where it's like fun, but it has some elements of like bits and pieces that still fall in line with like the overall narrative. uh it's just like, man, you did not, like, this moment is like, you did not really need that episode. It's a fun duel, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, it is just like a waste. It's like season 1 level episodes where he's like, we shouldn't, it's like that dueling the monkey, the talking monkey situation. It's like fun duel but useless. Speaking of which, now I'm talking about that episode, monkey episode. Whatever happened to Alexis' friends? You never see them show up ever again since season 1. That is bizarre to me. And let me get into, like, Alexis. This is the start how they, really downplay Alexis' skills, honestly, where it's not as bad as like Taya, but she turned from Maya, not Maya, Mai. Like, she was like almost my level in season 1. Now that she's just turned to like damsel in distress esque way, or just like a prop. And just her certain dialogue she has, where she just like, dialed up the snobby attitude, like calling even before she got brainwashed, because the main villain is like an alien, like a evil alien who takes possession of Sartorius, this fortune teller, and partly the D, who is the adopted father of one of Jaden's new friends slash rivals, Aster Phoenix. We'll get into that in a second. But it's just like, Yu-Gi-Oh franchise really do not do female main leads any justice, honestly. Uh, uh, but anyway, it's the start of the new year, and uh, we get some new friends. Like I said, Astro Phoenix shows up, and we also get introduced to Tyranno Hasselberry, who is a new Slifer, not Slifer, but new raw yellow student. And he's like got this gimmick where he talks in very military speak, like forward march, or it's like Eddie soldier. It's like full on retreat, or it's like it's like that kind of talk. It's just like, and he uses. I like his deck. He's like a better Dino duelist than Rex Raptor ever was. Honestly, I never understood how Rex even managed to get to the pro circuit in the first place after Joey mopped the floor with his ass in Duelist Kingdom. But I can arguably say that, honestly, I think Hasselberry is the only duelist who ever uses dinosaur types in his deck and does it effectively. He's arguably a very, very good duelist. And it's just like, it's just the not dialogue, but it's just like the military speak got tired every once in a while. And it's like, they really kind of like, halfway through, they kind of like really went full tilt into it. But he's a cool character. Beyond that, though, is definitely better than Chumley was. You can barely see Chumley duel at all, but he does make a cameo appearance in one episode halfway through the season. Still working with Pegasus and everything like that. And but Hasselberry dueled Jaden for the first time, and you get like a nice little moment where he becomes like one of Jaden's best friends. But there's this thing where him and Cyrus always like, it's like they're like vying for the sidekick position of Jaden, and it's like, dude, y'all got no agency of your own where you just like want to ride on the coattails of Jaden. It was annoying where it's like they bicker and like, I'm Jaden's best friend. No, I'm Jaden's best friend. I'm Jaden's best friend. Like, get off his dick. Don't get pregnant, while you riding his dick. Like, calm the hell down, honestly. But anyway, we also get introduced to another new character called Bonaparte, who's assisting Chancellor Crowler with Crowler's substituting as Chancellor, while Chancellor Shepard is off doing some business, and they're bringing in Astro Phoenix to Duelist Academy. And of course, Astro Phoenix playing on this very snobby attitude, and he stuns everybody, where he also uses elemental heroes a bit, but eventually that changed because he is technically his archetype deck is a Destiny hero deck, and the Destiny hero decks is pretty doggone cool. I played that a little bit here and there on my gameplay of Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist video game. You can check out my gameplays of using Destiny heroes on my channel, which, by the way, please like and subscribe. Follow me on the various links in the description, and check out that video on my YouTube channel. It's pretty good, and I dig it. But you hear me mention that I wish they had more supporting cards in that game. But pretty soon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel will come out some point soon, because they've been showing a few new videos here and there that I see where they're talking about like what's the deck uh assembly part look like, and what the another video is showing like what's the solo campaign looks like, that kind of thing. But it's like, when's that fucking thing coming out? Because I want to get it. Because you'll have new cards, and I can probably build a more proper Destiny Hero deck. Because most of the cards here, when this episode came, or at least this season came out, like, a few of the Destiny Hero cards wasn't actual cards. I think like one of the cards like D-Force and Drain Time are actually cards now, but it's been cards for quite some time, but never like in time to be included in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist. I kind of feel like I'm playing with half a deck when trying to play with a Destiny Hero deck. And I'm looking forward to playing Master Duel so I can try utilizing certain decks again, but more of a up to date in a way. But it's pretty cool based off of certain Victorian era kind of characters. Like there's Destiny Hero Plasma based off of Dracula, and Destiny Hero Dreadmaster is pretty much based off the man with the Iron Mask. Destiny Hero Dasher based off of Spring Hill Jack. There's another Destiny Hero that's pretty much based off the Invisible Man. I forgot which one's the one with wrapped up in bandages. But then there's Destiny Hero Devil Dude, who's based off of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and so on. Because that's what makes it dope in my opinion. It's like I love archetypes that kind of have this, people who come up with these kind of ideas. It's like so creative, and it's like I love the theme and like the time they put into it. It's like it's not like, I hate to say it with like Pokemon, where it seems like they're running out of ideas because they run out of animals to use, and so they're using like things like gears and like just slapping faces on random crap, and it's like, God, y'all just need to just end it or something, because it's not even clever anymore. Anyway, I do have a new discussion video that I want to do maybe next week, or maybe some point in the next week, where I always thought about like if I were able to make an archetype myself, what ideas would I have that'd be cool to turn into like a theme deck. And I had a handful of ideas, but I will leave that next week. But look forward to that next week. If you have like other ideas, please join me next week. Follow me on Twitter, links in the description, and tweet me of your ideas, what kind of Yu-Gi-Oh archetypes that you always thought that might be a cool theme to a deck. Anyway, as soon as Astro Phoenix showed up, he already has it out for Jaden, because his manager Sartorius, who's being controlled by this alien entity called the White Light of Destruction. Now, to figure out how that becomes, let me just talk to you right now before because I'm gonna be jumping all over the place. This is a cool thing here, because it kind of like, I always thought it was like a very cool turn of the head, where in normal story beats there's like, of course, you got the light side and the dark side kind of situation. Now this is the first time where they kind of, I won't say the first time, but it's like one that comes to mind, where it's like they kind of turn it on its head, where it's like some people will say the light is always good, but there's this like, it veers too far. It's like it's a balance. It's like a light side and dark side. It's kind of like yin and yang. It has to go into like a proper balance. But normally when like you're dealing with a dark side, it's like dark side that's kind of like gone too far and just go full tilt into just like it's kind of like, just use like Star Wars for example. Now like you got like the Emperor and Luke Skywalker. Now, imagine like something like let's say let's use I'm not like a full Star Wars aficionado or anything like that, but let's just use Darth Maul as an example. Darth Maul used the dark side of the Force, and that kind of like a sheer like raw power and everything that kind of flows into it, and just like embracing the darkness and everything like that. But imagine if he kept like some level of his humanity while wielding that darkness, and just kind of like a proper balance of using it. And while Luke Skywalker, who's playing on the light side, imagine if he's like going too far, where he's like kind of like pretty much abusing the light side to enforce his own will onto people. Then he's using the light side for evil purposes and calling it justice. And you get a lot with the word justice and destiny all throughout this entire season. They probably use it like so many times. But the light of destruction is just a piece of the light side of the universe, somehow broke off and went to Earth and trapped itself in the card of the Destiny hero Plasma, who Astrid Phoenix's father, who was a card designer, was in the middle of creating. But the D, I forgot his real name, but he was just like a down on his luck guy. He tried to break in, steal a card, hoping like he could get some money from it. But while the card was possessed, he got possessed himself. In the Japanese dub, he killed Astrid's father, but in the anime dub, English dub, his father just disappeared. Kids WB, what can you do? For kids, what can he do? But then he kind of cleaned himself up and everything like that, and then played to Astrid Phoenix being like, oh, I was an old friend of your father's and I'm here to look after you, kind of situation. Don't know how maybe it's the Light of Destruction who did something, because he got some bit of mind control, convinced people to let him adopt Aster, to use him under his wings as one of a pawn in the long game. But he also possessed Sartorius by giving him a card and like at least make sure like he kind of like, I don't know why he needed two hosts, but he kind of like gets an added like a contingency plan to make sure that, okay, I didn't, just in case something doesn't work out with one of them, I'm still here, kind of situation, kind of like a symbiote in a way, because like I need a host to survive, so I want to make sure like I at least have a piece of myself somewhere in case one of these guys fails me. So Sartorius ultimately became like the hub, but DND becomes like a major pro circuit dueling champion, but using Light of Destruction to kidnap a lot of souls and suck them into Plasma as like a source of power, kind of like in a way, like a vampire, sucks the blood and drain his essence and take on like, adds more to his power, kind of situation. And if you see him duel against this prisoner, or at least this convict who, challenges him to like a duel in a Kaiba dome, and like, he just, the D just wreck shopped the entire dome. And you'll think like, I forgot this episode where it's like, when I saw this again, I'm like, he just fucking destroyed his, he killed a lot of people in here, because like everybody who's watching this, the feed was cut. They don't know what happened. But you can see the other moments where it's like the people end up running out of the building in time, except for the convict whose soul was absorbed. But I imagine the Japanese dub, a lot of people were killed. It should have been a handful of bodies, at least somewhere because there was a lot of destruction. It's probably a little been like edited out, but it should have been I can look it up, but I imagine there would have been like a handful of bodies, here and there along the audience floor, dead from falling debris and what have you. But anyway, Aster is, working underneath the for Sartorius, who follows him, his every word because he's like a fortune teller. He sees it all. He's like touting destiny every which way. Like, I see it all kind of situation. And Sartorius also is making like mind slaves. He's turning a lot of these obelisk students, or at least in general students who show any kind of bit of promise, into his mind slaves. Making a cult in a sense, and eventually got to Chaz. He eventually got to Alexis, and but anytime any one of them loses, it breaks the white light spell. There was even like a weird moment where it's like I forgot about this, where it's a cult. That's what I mean. How it's so much of a cult. They even play to a stereotype where it has a character. It's like a southern preacher to preach the light of the white light of destiny kind of situation. And but then you got like a situation with Cyrus. He has a natural progression. He's now a raw yellow student because now, like, I love this. It's just like with Joey Wheeler, Cyrus is a natural progression where it's like he was so timid at the first season of dueling whatsoever. You practically got to, drag him to a duel. Now he's all in. He's like, he has more confidence in himself into dueling without, whimpering. Matter of fact, he's not even afraid to use power bond. And he's using it properly and everything like that. But then, you see someone like Zane, where now he's outside of Duelist Academy. He used like a big fish in a small pond situation. Now he's out in the ocean, and he's like, he dueled against Astrophius before he went to Duel Academy. And he got stumped by him. Because of that loss, Zane has started losing a lot more duels, and he's not looked at favorably by sponsors because, he's supposed to be like the top kid. And now you got this shady dude who we never knew who, because I always thought, maybe it's just like Mandela effect or something. I always thought he has something to do with the Society of Light trying to corrupt Zane in a way, but no, because he just full on black and everything like that. But he's just like a shady character that's, running this Fight Club-esque dueling arena where people wearing these shock collars and dueling till they collapse, essentially. And so he ended up embracing his dark side in a way. This is like a stark contrast to, this is like the point I'm making about how, like, you go too far into the dark side, you turn into this, where he's like, he's not respecting his cards, he's not respecting his opponents or anything like that. He's just like a flip on, like a shell of his former self, where he just like just turned into just like a hardened. He turned into something like what Kaiba used to be before he became more of a respective asshole. He became like an cool edgelord to then and just like a straight up asshole now. So Zane then goes to, because apparently him and Chancellor Sepra has this kind of relationship where he knew Zane when he was young, and it's like kind of like Avatar, The Last Airbender, where he's like, it was like training. Sepra was like a monk training on top of the mountains with students, like air nomads in a way, teaching them dueling skills and what have you. and like they worship the uh Cyber End Dragon like a freaking deity for some doggone reason. And then when he eventually starts running Duel Academy, Zane eventually applied, and he was surprised to see Zane, and eventually Zane, with the skills that he learned from Shepard himself, became a very one of the best students, among the Duel Academy. But when Zane come back to get the dark cyber dark cyber cards, like Cyber Dark Horn, Eel, or no, Keel, Horn, Keel, and Edge, that are arguably very powerful cards despite first glance. And but because of the shock collars, it's starting to so many of the shocks, you see, like, little by little, as well, into season 3, you get to see a noticeable change in Zane's health, whereas, like, because of all those shocks, it's starting to affect his heart and his physical health. But matter of fact, I didn't even realize we didn't even resolve that situation with Zane, because we're so focused on the Society of Light situation. But even Atticus embracing Night Shroud to try to utilize the dark in his own way to combat Zane's darkness. It's like dark on dark. It's a lot of light and dark themes running rampant on, like, how darkness is used and the level is supposed to be used, whereas, like, just use darkness in good way, and utilizing the light in a bad way. And while Night Shroud, fully takes over, because we haven't to deal with who's like the overall big bad of GX series, but Night Shroud comes out as Atticus is trying to get to Zane, but utilizing his Red Eyes deck still wasn't enough. He ends up getting beaten by Zane. Then Cyrus tries to challenge Zane utilizing these shock collars, and despite the awesome play by Cyrus's part, he even couldn't get to Zane, get through to Zane, and he ended up losing consciousness because of the whole shock collar stuff. And then Zane walks off. You haven't seen him again. I mean, I think here and there, after this event, but he starts becoming like a overall focus after a while. But he shows up a little bit more, and we'll get to that in season 3 eventually. But yeah, so now that, like, Sartorius is, like, recruiting so many people, and then eventually, I'm gonna get to Bastion, before I end up again, because Bastion is another character. It's kind of like Alexis, where it's like he used to be like an awesome duelist, and like they treat him like a throwaway character, not in the same way like maybe like Rex or Weevil, but it's like he's an awesome duelist utilizing like a science deck in a way, with all like the magnet cards, like gamma, beta, alpha magnet warriors, and using like other stuff like the Hydrogeddon and like Oxygeddon and the Water Dragon, all this stuff. And you can easily make like an awesome science deck with Bastion, but they kind of like treat them like leftovers, and it's a shame, because like I dig Bastion in season 1, and since then they just like with Alexis, they kind of treat him like he's just a character that's just there, and it's just a crying shame. I did not like that, that option, or at least the choice that they made with this character. He just feels like he's like a follower now, because he feels like he lost his, because Jaden is like the apple in everybody's eye, he's feel inadequate, which is like a story beat that could be placated if it's written well, but he gets very mopey and whiny about it, and he feels like they take a trip to Domino City, and it's like Cyrus, Hasselberry and Jaden are just walking off, and they just leaving Bastion behind, while his back was turned, and it's like, dude, like, aren't you his friends too? Like, why the hell did you just walk off without like just saying crap? And it's like, what the fuck? And then of course, they act all shocked when he joins the Society of Light, because this, like I said, if it was written well, it could have placated a whole lot better. But I can see what they was doing, where it's like, just like in any cult, it's like they placate to people who are yearning for some kind of place in their life and they feel empty inside. So, of course, they preyed on Bastion because he's looking for some kind of like meaning, and he's losing his way. And so he ended up joining the Society. Like, he's kind of like another riding the coattails. And so he went so far as like, he's so into this. He's like, he wants to be a part of it so bad. He's willing to bleach his own hair white just to prove his loyalty. It was completely unnecessary. He's just kind of like a huge follower. But then you get an episode where you get this, Professor Eisenstein, which is kind of like a caricature of, Albert Einstein, where he uses kind of, a deck, relative, the theory of theory of relativity, theory of relativity. Why can't I say that dang word? Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can pronounce it. Theory of relativity. There we go. That's how I'm supposed to pronounce it. Don't know why I'm struggling. In his deck, where it's a cool idea. He has like a brain dragon, and he got this trap card that's like what's a cool concept of a trap card, where it's like it's a continuous trap card where when it's your opponent's turn, you get to draw a card, they can't. But when it's your turn, they get to draw a card, but you can't. And it's like, it's kind of like a cool way to like, trip somebody up, or at least limit them in some capacity. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty dope. And where thanks to this, well-renowned scientist, it's another roughly a filler episode, but it's like one of those I actually understand. Like I said, it placates to the story a little bit, where it helps Bastion get away from the Society of Light through using something he cares a lot about, which is science, and he restores his faith in science, and decides to follow Eisenstein. You ever seen Bastion from here on out since then, but I like that, the fact that it takes something. You take it like a character like Eisenstein to get, because there's no other way. I mean, other than maybe like a duel, but this would have been like a cool way to get to someone like Bastion, who arguably you can say that he wasn't really full on into it. He's just like playing to it because he needs something. But he, his faith in science is restored, and he got something to follow. He follows science. He doesn't need to follow anybody. He can just follow science and let that be his guide, kind of situation. We'll see him again in season 3. Both of them, season 3. And so eventually they, on a trip to Domino City, you get to see like a cameo from Yugi's grandpa here, where they going on a tour of Domino City with, Grandpa showing them certain sites where Yugi duels, and they're all in awe. It's like, you fall in the literal footsteps of where your idol has been walking and all his triumphs, like the duel against Merrick when he's possessing strings. And by the way, is that like common knowledge? There's like, everybody knows that Merrick used mind control kind of situation. It's just like a thing. Somehow people knew, because even like the students somehow knew about that. Anyway, even though in the season one, Jaden and a few of the students didn't believe all that magic stuff, but they eventually, him and there was like a double duel against these kids that worked with Serena, Sartorius' sister, who is also working with Sartorius. But I'll get to that in a second, because this part was confusing me. But these kids that is working under her, who each one using like a different Monarch deck, where I utilize a Monarch themed deck in one of my gameplays of Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist. You can check that out too. But one using like an Ice Monarch, and the other using like the Thunder Monarch with a electric deck, and the other with like a Aqua Ice deck thing, and they do like a double duel against Halsberry and Cyrus, and they duel on top of the tower where Kaiba and Yugi dueled against Luminous and Umbra, which I thought was pretty dope, recreating that little moment. But this time it kind of like turned on its head. Now like one of the bad guys wins, while his partner and Cyrus and Halsberry lose altogether by playing this dangerous trap card. But they utilize the two kids as like bait to lure Jaden and Aster to one of the virtual reality Kaiba Dome areas, so Serena can duel Jaden and Aster to find out who is the kid who can defy destiny, and is arguably one of these two, because they have done it themselves. But Serena, who's been playing like she's like a evil henchwoman, but by the time when her she lost to Jaden Aster, she all of a sudden just like, I wasn't really evil, like I was just watching over my brother, trying to figure out like the one who can defy destiny, so I can beseech to him to help my brother. And it's like, you was a complete ass for past couple of episodes, but you just did a complete 180 on everybody. And it's like, you didn't have to do all the extra, but I guess he had to placate to like following him just to keep an eye on him. But man, you can hardly tell. But anyway, her mind gets trapped in the virtual world, at least for a bit, so she can serve like a later purpose at the end of the season. But the white light alien, the white light of destruction alien, he wanted to control the world. Well, him looking at this whole like, when he wants to mind control the world, and he wanted to utilize this prince's, satellite, who his team of scientists creates, to broadcast his influence, across the globe. So he ends up mind controlling him, but that obviously ultimately failed. But like I said, just like with Bastion, he preys on these people's weakness, because the prince didn't have any friends except from his assistant slash handmaiden, who obviously have feelings for the guy. I'm bouncing around right now. I want to talk about before I get further into the main story. I want to talk about how like you get a nice cameo not only from Kaiba, who Sartorius asked to use the Kaiba Dump so Serena can duel Jaden and Aster. Uh, but we get a cameo from like the grandpa. Then crap. What other crap? I'm blanking on. I'm blanking on the another LG character. But Maximilian Pegasus. He makes a couple of cameos in this where one he made a copy of the Egyptian god Ra, and one of his designers stole it, brought it to Duel Academy so he can utilize it to show his potential, so he can be recognized by Maximilian Pegasus, because Chumley came in as the new guy and like the eye of everybody's eye, so he got jealous and blah blah blah. So we get to see like a Egyptian god on Duelist Academy, albeit the copy, but and the guy utilizing this card similar to how Yami Merrick utilized it, taking all of his essences at one point and merging with the dragon. But Jaden ends up taking it down thanks to Chumley's new field spell, Hero 2 Skyscraper. But you also get a cool episode where thinking that they're fired, Crowler and Bonaparte, who challenges in Pegasus to get like a position at his company, but they end up losing. But it was like a cool duel altogether. But I forgot to mention about Bonaparte. Just like I mentioned this briefly in my live commentary of Delio's War with the George Washington versus Napoleon Bonaparte. This is like obviously a caricature of Napoleon. You gotta speaking like random. He speaks like very whiny like this. He always like give subtle hints that he's French. Like, okay, yeah, you're French, sure. It's like, yeah, oui. Like, and he's just like, no fret, mon frere. Like, it's just like, oh God. It's like, it's like, wow. It's like, it was of the time. It's like, even though it was like mid 2000s, but it was like, all these early 2000s, but it was like, it's like, you're not going to cancel the franchise over this, but it's just like, people wasn't that, it wasn't like, I don't know, unless you're French, I don't know how offended you are about it, but it's just like they didn't have no kind of appreciation of like someone who actually is French and get somebody who can voice a guy who's supposed to be French. But whatever, he has these deck which kind of based off of like Napoleon's troops, kind of like these toy soldiers that look like Napoleon's army, and certain support cards. You don't see, unless they actually are cards currently today, I don't know, but there wasn't much of a support for like his Napoleon deck. I'm just gonna call it Napoleon deck because pretty much that's what it is. But anyway, now I got ahead of myself. When Jaden and Aster their second duel, because the first one wasn't like a legit thing. It's just pretty much testing Jaden's abilities at first, but then they got to a real duel, and this is like Jaden's second legit loss in the entire series, hoping that his loss would turn him to the light, but he still has some strong will to not be overtaken completely, but it was still effective when he lost to Aster, where he's like, he just kind of like got almost like a shot to his system, where he's like, the somewhat effective to the point where he's like lost his will to duel, essentially, to the point where he can't see his images of his cards. And he's going on this little soul searching moment where he's literally like, taking a boat ride out in the middle of nowhere, thinking like he doesn't need to be on Duel's Academy. If he can't see his cars, there's no way he can duel, so there's no point in him staying there. It's like, dude, did you have parents? Can't you just take a boat ride, like a reasonable boat ride out back to the city, like a normal person, instead of trying to going on a speedboat by yourself to travel by yourself? You don't even know where you're going or which way is which out in the middle of the ocean. But he gets like hit by some kind of comet, or at least like a faux comet, where he's like blasted back to Duel's island, and he has this little vision where he meets these Neospatians, these alien cars like Neospatian Aqua Dolphin. Then you meet Neos and Air Hummingbird and Dark Panther, Glowmoss, all these characters, where you introduce to new way of fusion, which arguably they're the only way to do this, whereas contact fusion without the need for polymerization, which is a cool concept, where these Neospatians warn Jaden about this light of destruction that's going to overtake the entire universe if he's not stopped. So they reinvigorated his love of dueling. He got to see his cards again, so he comes back, and now it's like after so many episodes, like I said, with this filler episode stuff, Aster challenges, after he beats the D, figure out what really happened, that he was responsible for his father's disappearance. He beats the D, got his father's cards back, challenges Sartorius, but loses. But then Jaden challenges Sartorius. Cool dueling, like a 3-episode dueling match, and you get to see like the Neospatians do their thing with the contact fusions, with utilizing these powers, and it's very, very, very cool. And I mean, if you watch this high, you will find this kind of like goofy, but you'll get a laugh out of it. Where it's like these dual monster spirits really run amok in a way where it's like Neos in the spirit form go after the satellite before it starts reaching the city limits, and gets Hasselberry, who turns his spirit is actually like his spirit animal. I guess it's like a dinosaur. Get this, he tells the story how while the reason why Sartorius couldn't even take him over, because his left leg, a bone of his left leg, at least one of the bones in his left leg, is like his lower shin, was replaced by a dinosaur bone that he found in like an excavation a long time ago, and because of this accident, like on site, and they have to replace the leg and save the leg. In order to do that, they need to replace the bone, so they put one of the bones that they found into to replace the leg. And since then, he always talks about how like he got it's like dino DNA, and it's like, okay, Mr. DNA, and it's like you wasn't BSing. He literally does, and every so often you get to see his eyes turn into like very like reptile-ish, and like just when he gets like ferocious and like gets really into the into the duel or something like that, or very aggressive or angered, his eyes turn that way. It's kind of cool. And so his spirit animal dinosaur and Neos attacked his satellite in their spirit form somehow, with the help of Serena, who's essentially Data, who's temporarily holding the satellite at bay, so Neos and Hasselberg can do their thing. So it gives Jaden a moment so he can actually finish off Sartorius and destroy the White Light of Destruction. And in season 3, it explains how like Jaden is utilizing the gentle darkness, where it's like he has to use the. I mean, mentioned a little bit here, but they call it a gentle darkness in season 3. But here, he has to utilize some darkness, not like full on darkness where the point he's corrupted him or anything like that. You get probably see that a little bit in season 3, but we'll get to that. But utilizing some darkness in order to combat the light. Like I said, it's like a flip effect, and I like flip effect. Yu-Gi-Oh, get it? And he utilized the darkness to beat back the light to bring it back to balance. Because you're dealing with a lot of darkness half the time in a lot of stories. It's because darkness trying to tip the scales and he utilized light to balance it out. But this is like, reversing all that, so it can bring it back to balance, which is I always thought was like a cool concept, where it's like, like a light of destruction, utilizing it, something that's supposed to be good and utilizing to destroy, and you have to use darkness to combat that, which is cool, very cool. So yeah, that was Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Season 2. Like I said, this is pretty dope season, but there's a handful of episodes that could have just removed, that didn't feed into the overall story. Honestly, they could have easily taken out at least, maybe not the, Professor Eisenstein episode, because they kind of helped get Bastion out of that little funk that was like much needed. But something like that doll, or that Victorian doll that came to life, and then like it's like a this Reaper, this kid who's utilizing like a Reaper tattoo and getting possessed by the Grim Reaper in order to draw the card that he needs, kind of situation. That honestly wasn't needed, but I guess they kind of placated the theme of like utilizing some kind of darkness to a dangerous level, or utilizing light to a dangerous level. But ultimately, you can easily take it out and wouldn't affect the overall narrative. That's what I'm saying. But it's still fun. You get to see like a lot of cool duels. You get to see cool cameos from a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh season, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters franchise. Make some returns. Get to see the Maximilian Pegasus Toon deck again, utilizing a proper way that's supposed to be played, not how it was during his day. Whereas like when he plays Toon World, it's supposed to take 1,000 life points in order to play it, and they never did that in the in the Duel Monsters franchise. But at least maybe not in just Duelist Kingdom. I think like I can't recall you seen like no. When Alistair was playing as Maximilian Pegasus, when he was dueling against Kaiba in Waking the Dragons arc, he utilized Toon World himself, and the 1,000-point cost was utilized. But during the Duelist Kingdom, arc, that was not utilized because they was working with 2,000 life points, so they had to avoid certain costs in certain cards. But I digress. But yeah, like I said, it was pretty cool season. There's just certain questionable things they did with characters like Alexis and Bastion that I did not care for, and then the filler stuff. Other than that, pretty dope season. But eventually I will get to season 3. Don't know when. I got a lot of stuff that I got planned. I hope some point this summer, or at least the end of the summer, I want to find a place of my own. That's like the overall goal this year. At the same time, trying to get like another voiceover job, or at least like a few, just to get the ball rolling. That's the overall goal right now for this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah, but the next TV show that I will be reviewing is the second season or second arc of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where we deal with Jotaro Kujo season. So that'll be fun. And after that, or at least in the midst of that, I will be trying to go in order all the Star Wars movies and integral TV shows in order, hopefully making it by May the 4th. So that should be feasible, aside from maybe certain moments here and there where I probably have to take a break or something like that. Like during the weekend of my birthday, because my birthday falls in line of, I think, on a Friday. So I want to probably take like a weekend break from like streaming and other stuff. Uh, but don't know what I'm going to do. I thought about like spending like a just like a staycation, like renting out like a hotel or something like that for like a weekend stay downtown, just kicking in, just enjoying some kind of solitude. But because I want to save up for like a place of my own, that's probably gonna have to nix that, which is kind of unfortunate. Like I really want to do something like that. Uh, but anyway, I will see you guys next time. Uh, Take care, and please leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought about season 2 of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. If you've seen season 2, what was your favorite episodes, duels, what you didn't like about that season yourself. And I will see you guys next time. I'll see you guys, well, definitely tomorrow, or well, it's already tomorrow, but later on Friday afternoon, or evening, I will get into back into like Pokemon, because I need to get that done before, because Pokemon Legends is gonna be coming out maybe in like a week or two, pretty soon. It's like a Pokemon Arceus. 1 second. Yeah, January 28th. So in a couple of weeks. So hopefully I'll be done with Pokemon Brilliant Diamond before then. So I can just jump right into Pokemon Legends. And then hopefully be done by with Halo Infinite, because I still got to continue on with I thought I was going to like I kind of limited myself a couple of days in each week playing with Star Wars Force Unleashed and Jedi Fallen Order on my Xbox Series S. But I really need to focus on Halo Infinite and Pokemon Brilliant Diamond more so. But I might just do just those two, and I don't know. At some point this week, I'll hop back into Star Wars, but I need to really like focus on Halo and Pokemon Diamond and get those wrapped up before I continue on with Star Wars games. So anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Be careful, be safe. Happy New Year, and I'll see you all soon. Peace. Oh, and definitely, if you want to watch me play those games live, follow me on Twitch. Links in the description. If you want to watch me live, if you want to know if I'm live, follow me either there or Twitter, so you'll know that I'm live. You can join me. You can talk live with me, and I just love the back and forth discussion. Also, thank you all for the recent subscribers on my YouTube channel. You guys are amazing. I'm already over 151 currently. And just like a few days ago, it was like 148. So it's like little by little, it's getting like more videos, more views and support. So you guys have been like fantastic. So yeah, I'll see you guys soon. And I got like at least next week I'll have like a new Chaotic Lore video. And then the week after I got another. So I'm gonna do like try to do at least, depending on how short the videos or at least the draft's gonna be, or the videos might be. I can, depending on what I want to talk about, could easily be like one week, unless it's something big like the Chaotic Lore with the Codemasters and talking about the battle drones. That took some bit of doing, so that took some time. Just like with certain characters might take some time, so you might see like a gap in time between certain chaotic lore videos, but that is still on the docket. So anyway, yeah, now I'm signing off. So I'll see you guys soon. Take care.